Now that we know all about simple interest and compound interest, let's move on to annuities and sinking funds. Well, an annuity is a fixed sum of money paid to a person each year or each period. It could be each month or it could be twice a year, every 6 months, typically for the rest of his or her life, but not always. A person may purchase an annuity at a young age, in order to receive a payment each year in retirement. A car payment of $300 per month for 5 years is considered an ordinary annuity. You could think of that as the car salesperson giving you a car, say it's worth $20,000, giving it to you all at once, and then you agree to pay that person monthly for maybe 4 or 5 years. I said 5 years here, $300 per month. So it can be looked at as an annuity as well. An ordinary annuity is an annuity with periodic payments made at the end of each payment period, like a car payment. When you get your loan, you don't make a payment until the end of that month, and then at the end of every month after that. Let's look at an example. Let's say you deposit or invest $1,000 at the end of each year for 5 consecutive years. The annuity will pay 7% interest, compounded annually, that's 1 time per year. Find the value of the annuity at the end of 5 years. So you are putting $1,000 a year for 5 years at the end of each of 5 years. So you're putting in $5,000. So we're going to expect it to be something greater than $5,000 at the end of the 5 years. All right, well, on this number line here, write down the value of each $1,000 investment and the value of it at the end of year 5. So we're going to look at each of the 5 payments. The first one I've already done for us. This would be the very first payment. And how much is it worth? It's $1,000. So this is the end of the first year. No interest has been paid on it. Then that same $1,000 in year 2 is worth this much money. That would be 107% of the $1,000. So you're adding 7%. So that'd be $1,070. And likewise, the next year, you take this value and multiply it by 1.07 to get this. Then you take this value and multiply it by 1.07 to get this. This one's now been compounded 3 times. And finally, the last one is compounded 4 times. And at the end of the 5 years, this $1,000 turns into $1,310.80. So now let's look at year 2. You deposit one more $1,000, but at that time, it's simply worth $1,000. A year later, that 1,000 is 1,000 times 1.07. A year later, it's 1,000 times 1.07 squared, and the next year, the final year, it's that. So it's going to be worth a little bit less. It's only been in the account. It's only going to get to compound 1, 2, 3 times, where the previous one got 4 compounds, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this turns out to be $1225.04. Okay, so far that's 2 $1,000 investments. Then at year 3, at the end of year 3, you deposit one more $1,000. And then the next year, that's worth 1,000 times 1.07, then 1,000 times 1.07 squared. This one only gets compounded 2 times, and that turns out to be $11.44.90. The next $1,000 at the end of year 4, well, that's worth 1,000, and the next year it only gets to compound 1 time, because this takes us to the end of year 5. So this one is very simple, 1070. And the last one, the end of the 5 years, you deposit your one more 1,000, and this one doesn't change at all. because it's not in the annuity for any length of time. This is the end of the 5th year, and you put the $1,000 in. And at this point, if you wanted to, you could take it all out. And let's make a note here. The final investment of $1,000 gains no interest because you're putting it in at the very end of the 5th year. So if we add up these column of 5 numbers, that's how much our $5,000 investment is worth. At the end of the 5 years, if we add that up, we get 5750.74. So maybe I'll write it here as well. So you put in $5,000, $1,000 per year for 5 years, and you end up with $5,750.74.